What is going on, everyone? My name is Mr. Rage22. Welcome back to one of my reviews. I hope you guys are all doing well out there, and I hope you've had a great day. And thank you for stopping by on my channel once again. I realize that I'm not really getting a lot of views for my reviews, and man, I put so much hard work into these reviews, and people are barely watching them. But you know what? It just makes me more thankful for the people who actually do watch it. Like for the little views that I get, like 6 or 7 views, even five. Like I'm still thankful for it because at least someone could see my hard work. But enough about me playing the victim card. I don't want you guys to feel bad for me. I just want you to watch my video. And today we are going to be talking about Visage, and this is a really interesting game. People giving this game 10 out of 10s, 5 stars, saying it's the next PT. And it's quite interesting because, like I said, this game is it's a very interesting game because the thing about Visage is it's really good and really bad at times. The game is going to no doubt piss you off, and at times the game is just a huge pain in the ass. But for the most part, like the thing about games, like the thing about games like this is like they have really like when they have like really good and fun moments, moments that you enjoy and moments that you appreciate. Those moments are the ones that you actually remember, and like when you think about the game, you think about the fun times and the fun moments, not the bad ones. So, and thankfully Visage does have some like the frustrating moments it has. Thankfully they are short-lived. So like there's not a whole lot to frustrate you, but there is some other things that may frustrate you, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. Now, as you guys know, I don't spoil the story on my reviews. My reviews are spoiler free, so you don't gotta worry about the story being spoiled for you, because I know that there are some people out there who really enjoy the stories in these horror games, so you don't gotta worry about me spoiling the story. But I do tell you what kind of what type of story it is, like what's like the subject matter, stuff like that. And Visage is another extremely dark horror game. The subject matter, the tone, everything about this game is just so dark, and some would even say it's edgy. Um, but yeah. Anyways, so yeah. Obviously, I don't spoil the story, but like when you compare this to a game like Observer, which was more like disturbing than dark. I mean, it was dark, but it was also just like more disturbing. This game is both dark and just extremely frightening. This game is going to not only frighten you, but also just scare the absolute shit out of you at times. I do agree with people saying that this is one of the scariest games of all time. And although it may not be exactly like PT, it kind of, it kind of scratches that itch. I mean, not quite, but it still kind of does. Just ignore that. I got a fucking message. Just ignore that. Sorry about that. But anyways, on my fucking Xbox. Anyways, but yeah. So let's talk about the gameplay, because this is what we mostly talk about. And for the most part, the gameplay is pretty tricky. Now, one thing that I do really like about the gameplay is like how not simple it is. Like the thing about Visage is it's not just a simple walking simulator, nor is it a simple psychological horror game, nor a simple survival horror game. This game and its gameplay just has so much more going for it, and like it combines so many fun and great elements that all horror games should have. And like it puts it all in one, and that's one thing that I could really appreciate about the gameplay, and especially you guys, like. And the thing about this, another thing about the gameplay is like, this game, if you're into these type of games, then Visage is going to be your love child. Because like, if you're someone who's like, into these type of games, like walking simulator, like slash survival slash psychological horror games, then you're gonna love this game. And like the reason for that is because like this, like I said, this game has so much going for it. It's not just a simple walking simulator. It has those elements, but it's not just that one thing. It's also a great psychological horror game and even a great survival horror game. So this game will appease fans from both genres of survival horror, whether you're a fan of psychological or survival. So like if you're a fan of like Resident Evil or Outlast, then you're probably gonna like this game. If you're more of a fan of psychological type shit, like what Blooper Team has going for them, like Observer, like Layers of Fear, like if you're more of a fan of like games like Layers of Fear, Observer, just like psychological games in general, this game is also going to appease you, and you're also going to have a lot of fun with it because like I said, it's like the developers of this game just took some of the most best elements of all types of horror and just like just smashed it together. That's what this game is, and that's what's so good about it. Now, let's talk about the first thing first. Like, so this game is a walking simulator. It does have walking simulator elements, But the thing that's so great about this game is, like Layers of Fear 2, the environments and the settings that this game puts you in, it never gets boring because the game is constantly putting you in so many new different environments and so many different areas. So like you never really feel like you're getting bored because like in so many other horror games, like you feel like you're just exploring the same house, like like the same location over and over and over again, then the exploration just gets boring. But no, that is not a problem with Visage because this game just puts you in so many different locations, so like it never gets boring. Now, me personally, I'm a huge fan of walking simulators. They're relaxing, they're immersive, because like I feel like if I was in an actual scary situation, I feel like a lot of it would be just walking in real life. So like I am a fan of walking simulators very much, but I also do like some survival horror and some psychological horror as well. And like one thing I like about Visage is like I love how it just like it mashes them all up together, like although it's a walking simulator, it's also a survival slash psychological game. So like this game just has so much things going for it, and like that's what I love about it. You could really tell the developers, like, they put so much stuff together, and the game is like it gets you excited, because like so much can happen in this game. There's so much to expect from this game, and boy oh boy does it meet those expectations. So again, the game is a walking simulator, and like one thing that I like is like again, like Layers of Fear 2. The reason I keep comparing these games to Layers of Fear 2 is because Layers of Fear 2 was a very adventurous walking simulator. Because while it was a walking simulator, it also always kept the players on their toes while at the same time providing new areas to explore. So that's why I loved Layers of Fear 2, and Visage is no exception because Visage does the same thing. Except this game is a lot more darker. Like I will say one thing. This game, like this game right here, this game makes both Layers of Fear 1 and 2 look like horror games made by Disney. And I'm not even lying. Like if you play the game for yourself, then you will understand exactly why I just said that, because I know people think that Layers of Fear 2 is a really scary game, but like this game right here knocks everything out of the park. So yeah, for like fans of walking simulators, you are definitely going to love this game because like I just said, the game just provides so many places to explore in so many different settings, so many different things. One thing that I want to show you guys right now, actually, like this is one of my favorite locations of the game. Luckily I got a clip of it. I'm gonna show you guys that right now. Give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. Okay, so check out this location right here, guys. Just wait for that to buffer. I've always wanted to explore a place like that. That's something that's also just so good about this game. Like the locations that it puts you in. Like I never knew how much I wanted to explore an abandoned ghost town until I played this game, because as you guys just saw, like that location, like that was one of the locations. It was like sense of like it was like a creepy abandoned like town or something like that. Just like that's what gets you so excited. The environments. So again, as I was saying, not only that, but like this game's locations, like the locations in this game. Let me just get another image here. Okay, as I was saying, so like yeah, like I loved locations that this game puts you in. As you just saw, like that was like an abandoned like ghost town, and I've always wanted to explore an abandoned ghost town. I just never knew how much I really would enjoy it until I played this game. And not only that, but like the graphics, this game just does such a great job at just pulling you in. Like even the walking in the game just feels so good, and like again, it gets you excited. This game is a horror fan's wet dream, ladies and gentlemen. Go out and buy this game right now. But still keep watching the review. It's like that way you can get more information, obviously. But anyways, the locations. So yeah, this game has some really good locations, as you can see. Not only does the game have like creepy abandoned ghost towns, but it also has like creepy hospitals. In one of the chapters of the game, like the game puts you inside of like a creepy haunted hospital. And we'll talk about that more in a minute when we get to like how the game also has some good survival horror moments. But yeah, like the locations in this game are absolutely magnificent. If you are a fan of walking simulators, then you are going to love it. And another thing I want to say is, like, again, like Layers of Fear 2, although you are going to be doing a good amount of exploring, the game never gives the player a chance to breathe. Like, you're never going to have a time where you're just, like, like, bored or any... well, hold on, maybe a little bored, but like I'm talking about when you're actually doing the chapters, because like that is like, most of what this gameplay is about, but like, yeah, like as you're like, I like how you do both, I like how you like, you're not like, not only are you exploring this game's amazing locations and settings, but you're also like, the game is also still keeping you busy, so the game never gets bored. So yeah, like the game has some really great locations. I just as I just saw, like, as I just showed you. But yeah, so yeah. Anyways, so now we're going to get about how to actually solve the chapters, because like, as you can see, as you already know, hopefully, is like before you could start chapters, you're basically like exploring this like really really big house. And I also really like the Visage house. Like, this is probably the most ominous and most unsettling house I've actually seen in a horror game besides actual PT. So like, I was very impressed here, and like I also like how just big the house is. I mean, you have to have like keys and stuff to just to unlock some of the like some of the areas inside the house, and like it feels really satisfying to actually unlock a new part of the house to explore. Because like there's so much to be discovered and so much to be explored. Like for me personally, as you guys know, I love exploring in these games. Like, it makes me feel so immersed. Like exploring in these games makes me feel immersed, and if you're someone who has a similar mindset to that, like similar to me, then like you're just going to love Visage only like so much more. Like you're gonna like, not only are you going to love it like just because of its like, the like how good of a walking simulator it is, but like you're gonna love it even more because of the later segments of the game. But yeah, as you know, like, you're basically exploring this giant ass house, and the thing I also like is you are never safe in this game. Even when you're not doing a chapter, you are never safe in this game. And one of the greatest things about this game is the tension buildup, because as you're exploring the house, paranormal and unexplained events start happening to you. Doors will open up on their own. Lights will start flickering. Objects will like fall off of things. It's just so awesome and so creepy at the same time. Like, you don't got the bullshit chase scenes from Outlast, or like, like the other bullshit scenes from like Layers of Fear. No, it's genuine tension buildup. Some of it honestly reminded me like I was in Paranormal Activity or something, because like that's kind of what it felt like, because like the game literally describes it as paranormal events. Like, like you'll be like let's say you're exploring a part of the house, so like you're just minding your own business, exploring, taking in the scenery, and then you're taking in the scenery, and then like a door just starts like open up on its own. That scares the crap out of you, because like that's because like it's the fear of the unknown, and that's what makes paranormal things so scary, because like, something otherworldly is like now interacting with you, and it's now inside of your house, and like that's what's so great about this game. So like, as like even as you're exploring, the game is still scaring the crap out of you. So that, again, that is another great benefit of Visage, because like this game is just so great. And like I also like how it's randomized. The game does not give you any signs when something scary or paranormal is about to happen, so the game will always catch you off guard, and for the most part it's effective. Like, even if you're someone who has like, balls of steel like me, the game is still gonna make you scream or just like frighten you a couple of times. Now for the chapters. Now, Visage has 3 chapters. Unfortunately, the last chapter was kind of shit. As much as I hate to say that, the last chapter was just a real pain in the ass. Because like, unlike the previous 3 chapters, which not only like, took you to like so many different locations and environments to explore, but they also had their own varieties. But the last chapter was just fetch quest. So unfortunately, the last chapter, which like, it's ironic, because like, it's the last chapter. Ironically, it was shit. It was pure dog shit. One of the most frustrating things in the game. But the first 3 chapters are great. And another thing about the chapters, I like how much variety they have between them. It almost feels like an anthology, because it is an anthology. Because basically, each one of the chapters represents for fuck's sake, just ignore that. Just ignore that. Just fucking little kid keeps messaging me. Anyways, the chapters are so different from each other, and that's what I like about them. And essentially, it is an anthology, because like each one of these chapters is like different stories from the residents who lived in the house before your main character. So like, they basically are anthologies, segments, or stories, whatever anthology chapters, that's what you want to call it. But as I was saying, I like how each chapter feels different from each other. First, you got Lucy's chapter, and this was the game's more like, this was like one of the more psychological chapters of the game, and also one of the most frightening as well. Like Lucy's chapter was the more darker one, and also the more psychological one. Like, this is where the game's more psychological elements shine, through Lucy's chapter. Then you got Rankin's chapter. Rankin's chapter was more like Outlast, because like it was more of like a survival horror segment, and also in Rankin's chapter, it is set inside of an abandoned, creepy hospital at night. So, again, like I was saying, this game just puts you in so many fun and terrifying areas to explore. It's so cool. If you like walking simulators, you are going to love this, especially if you like exploring, because the game just has so many different areas that put you in, so the game never gets boring. It never gets boring exploring because the game just puts you in so many different areas. God, I love this game. But anyways, as I was saying, in Reagan's chapter specifically, this was more like a survival, like a typical survival horror segment of the game, because like you are being chased by these like faceless mental patients. Yeah, this game does not have a very good representation of mental health because, you know, of course they chase you and try and kill you. But yeah, Reagan's chapter was more of a typical survival horror thing, like more of a survival horror chapter. Meanwhile, Lucy's was more psychological horror and also more frightening as well. Rankin's chapter was pretty creepy, but like, you know, Rankin himself, who was like kind of like the main dude who chased you throughout that one, he was not very scary. I mean, he comes at you at clutches for crush. Like he's got like clutches on him, and he comes at you on his little clutches. He can't even walk very fast. So, yeah. But anyways, then you got Dolores' chapter. Now, Dolores' chapter was more of like a mystery type chapter because it was more cryptic. And not only was the actual story and areas of Dolores' chapter more cryptic, but also were the puzzles. The puzzles in Dolores' chapter were also extremely hard as well. I feel like Dolores' chapter was more of the game's puzzles segment shining through because like there's lots of puzzles in Dolores' chapter. But that area that I just showed you, like that abandoned like ghost town, that came from Dolores' chapter. So like, see what I mean? Each chapter not only has its own like little segments and own little types of gameplay and scares, but it also like each chapter also takes you to different environments and different areas and different settings. So it's so good because this game just combines so much stuff together and so many just so many great elements. But yeah, so like the first 3 chapters are really good. They have their own variety, they have their own areas to be explored, and trust me, they are fun to explore. And like I said, you really gotta be a fan of this type of gameplay to actually enjoy the game. If you're someone who likes more like Resident Evil, like, you know, like where you're like killing zombies and like stuff like that, you're probably not going to enjoy this game. You have to be like fans of like games like Layers of Fear, and you know, just fans of walking simulator slash psychological slash survival horror. This is your game. If you like walking simulator hash psychological horror hash survival, like I said, you will absolutely love this game just like I did, because as you know, I am a fan of both walking simulators and survival and psychological horror as well. So yeah, the first 3 chapters, I just love how much variety the developers put into them, because like each chapter just feels so much different from the other one. Each chapter has their own puzzles, their own segments, their own little like, you know, their own little scary moments. So yeah, yeah. So that's pretty much the gameplay side of the game. You know, that's pretty much the gameplay. You know, like the puzzles in the game as well. This game has got some pretty difficult puzzles. And, you know, the game literally tells you this at the beginning. The game is going to be hard. So if you're someone who's not really good at solving puzzles, you might have a problem with this game. Luckily, I don't. I've been playing horror games for a very long time now, so I'd say my puzzle solving skills are, you know, decent. So I didn't have too much trouble. I did have some times where I did have to look up a guide because some puzzles were like just so cryptic. And you know, that's another thing. This game does not hold your hand at all. This game will give you one single clue, and even the clue itself is very cryptic. So you really gotta actually use your fucking head to not only solve puzzles, but to also make progress in the actual game itself. We'll get back to that later. But yeah, that's going to pretty much cover the gameplay side of things. Like I said, each chapter feels different from the other. And another thing I liked. Now, this is something that I criticized Outlast for, because in Outlast, there was absolutely no way to fight back. But Visage fixes that. And I also like how Visage balanced the whole you can't fight back thing, because specifically in Lucy's chapter, Lucy herself, which is like, she looks like a fucking Samara from the Ring. I think her name is like Ringo or something. The thing about that is, like, if you saw something like that in real life, you know, something like, you know, Lucy, you know, like you're not gonna try and fight back against that thing, because it's simply too horrific. And not only that, but like Lucy is something from like, she's otherworldly. She's a fucking ghost, for God's sake. So you're not gonna try and fight back against something like that. So obviously in real life you would run from that. And I love, like, you know, it's realistic. But even then, like, even though there's no human enemies in this game besides Raken, it's all just ghosts. I like how you can fight back against certain enemies in the game. Like, you can fight back against certain enemies. You can fight back against, you know, some of the enemies. You know, some of the ghosts that chase you. Some of, like, you know, all that stuff. And sometimes you can't. I love how I balance that. This game is all about balance. And like in the same chapter, actually, you know, in Lucy's chapter, there's like this demon that's following her, and like he's got like these like Freddy Krueger claws type thing, and like one thing I like is like you got this camera in Lucy's chapter, you got like this camera, and if you time it just right, if you flashlight, you know, if you use the camera's flashlight against the demon, if like if the camera flashlight hits the demon, he'll basically stop chasing you for a little bit. Now, some would say, like, you know, like, this is not scary anymore because, like, you know, the players could just keep using their camera against the demon. Well, no, because you could only use your camera against the demon so many times. You're only fighting back slightly. You're only fighting back just so you can get a little bit of room to breathe and just, like, you know, some time to run and, like, find a place to hide or just, like, quickly complete your objective or the puzzle that you're trying to solve. And I love that because, like, it balances it because, like, as you guys are thinking, if you could just constantly use your camera to, like, you know, make the demon stop chasing you, it wouldn't be scary anymore. But you can only use it so many times, so the tension is still there because, like, although the player is now safe for a little bit, the player knows that the same method is not going to work a second time, so they can only fight back a little bit. That would have been so much more appreciated in games like Outlast because, like, Outlast just makes you too helpless, and, like, when I get, like, Outlast doesn't even make me feel helpless. Outlast just makes me feel like a retard who can't fight back. So I love how Visage, you know, it balanced it out because although you can fight back, you can't keep using the same methods, so the tension is still there and it's still scary. So that's another thing I really liked about Visage. Another thing I like about this game was made for people who are into ghost and, you know, paranormal type stuff. If you're someone who's more into like slashers, like, you know, cryptic type horror, then you may not like the subject matter in this game. This game is a love letter to fans of the paranormal because literally everything that chases you in this game is otherworldly. It's like it's all paranormal. Either it's a ghost like Dolores, a demon like the one that was like following Lucy, or like, you know, a psycho ghost like Reagan. Because Reagan is a ghost at the end of the day. He's just like not deformed or like, you know, like stuff. He's not deformed or anything. But yeah, still. So yeah, now we're gonna talk about some of the more frustrating things because like, you know, as you guys already know, the puzzles in this game, yes, the puzzles are fucking hard. You may have to look up a guide sometimes, but like, I highly advise you guys to just use your brain, you know? Just use your brain, just try and figure it out. No one's rushing you. You don't rush yourself. Just, like, the game literally says it. The game says at the beginning, patience through investigation is needed to actually play this game. So if you're someone who, like, not very, like, patient, like, if you're someone who's, like, if you're someone, like, you want to just, like you play the game to win or you play the game to make progress like really quickly and you're just like not very patient, this game will piss you off more than it should. So you really got to have actual patience and an actual good, you know, mind. Like you actually got to be at least somewhat smart and you got to be patient to actually play this game. You got to take your time, analyze the puzzle or, you know, whatever it is, and just like you got to figure it out. Now, one thing that I did not like about the game is just how like when you first start the game, I just like the game, like it just one thing that's going to be really bad for people is like the game is just so cryptic. You know, like the game does not give you barely any clues. Like when you first start the game, like you're exploring the house and like, you know, you like even when you find an item, even when you find the item that can start the specific chapter that you chose by picking up that certain item, the game still won't tell you what you're supposed to do next. Like you'll pick up the chapter item, like you'll pick up the item that starts a chapter, and like the game will not tell you what you're supposed to do. Now, this wasn't too much of a problem for me because, like I said, I immerse myself in these type of games because I simply love the exploration. I love exploring in these games, so it wasn't too much of a problem for me. But like, if you're someone who's like, you know, if you get bored really quickly and you just get tired really quickly, then the game is gonna no doubt frustrate you. But like I said, you need patience to play this game. If you don't have patience at all, you may want to hold out on Visage. You have to be like me. You have to be like Mr. Rage. You have to be like me because like I love exploring. They used to call me Luke the Explorer back in the day because I love exploring. You know, it's immersive and I just find it fun because like exploring to me in these games is leaving my actual world and like exploring a new world. You got to have that kind of mindset to actually enjoy this game sometimes. You know, like I said, the game does have some really good survival elements because like although I just said that Lucy specifically, like Lucy's chapter specifically, although I did say that was like more psychological horror, Lucy and the demon do chase you, so like it combines it, you know, that's again that's what I like about this game. It combines everything. It combines walking simulator gameplay, survival horror gameplay, and you know psychological gameplay. And you know, if you're someone who gets bored fast, the game, like, you'll still enjoy the game though, because like even though you're exploring, the game is still keeping you busy, so it's not going to get boring that quickly. It just I don't like how the game just doesn't really hold your hand sometimes. I mean, the game could give you. I feel like the game could give you just a little more clues. You know, I feel like it could have given you some slightly more clues. I mean, it kind of does, and but like now we're gonna talk about the last chapter, which is Dwayne's chapter, your protagonist. Um, Dwayne's chapter was more like a how do I put this? Like kind of like an investigation type chapter because like the puzzles or like the things that like the items that you gotta pick up to actually make progress. It was extremely cryptic, and the game did give some decent clues here and there, but like like the thing is, like here's what you do. You have to have patience. You have to rethink the situation. Like if you feel like giving up and you feel like just looking up a guide, just give it some thought. Pause the game. Relax. Go drink something. Drink a beer or something. If you're an adult, or just have a drink, take a break, and just think things through. And I promise you, you will figure out some of this game's bullshit because like the game can be annoying sometimes, and like some of the game segments can just piss you off. And there are a couple of segments here and there in the game that are pretty frustrating and are just like, just a real pain in the ass. But like I said, they're short lived. For the most part, this game does exactly what it was meant to do. It scares the shit out of you. It's got some really fun segments that will appease all fans of horror. It's good. It's got some slightly frustrating moments here and there. And I just like how cryptic the game is at times because like, even though it wasn't a problem for me, I know it's going to be a problem for some other people who have problems with, games like this. But yeah, so that's pretty much going to cover all segments of the gameplay. The only other thing to talk about is like your inventory system. Um, Similar to a Resident Evil game, there's like these pills in the game because insanity from amnesia makes a comeback in this game. Basically, the sanity the sanity mechanic is directly tied to the paranormal events. Paranormal events and also standing in the dark in this game will cause your character's sanity to rise, and the higher your sanity goes, the more worse the paranormal events will get. They'll get more scarier, a lot more frantic, and a lot more how do you say a lot more like they'll start happening more often. Basically they'll start happening more often, and at times my sanity in this game wouldn't even go down, like because like apparently what you could do is like there's like these pills that you could collect in the game, and like these pills are supposed to make your sanity go down, but sometimes not even the pills work. So yeah, the sanity effect or the sanity mechanic, it's decent. It's like it adds some more survival horror to the game because like as you know, if your sanity does go up too far, there's like this ink demon or something, like it's like an ink monster or something, I don't know what you call it. If your sanity does go too high, he will start chasing you throughout the actual house. So like I said, this you're never safe in this game. Similar to Outlast, but better. This game is obviously better than Outlast and a lot of horror games these days. But yeah, guys, that pretty much wraps up the gameplay, and we're about to get to this review's verdict. Now we're gonna talk about the game's graphics, and holy mother of God, Sad Square, how did you son of a bitches do it? How the fuck did you do it? And I got the same question for how are these indie companies making such great looking games and Black Ops Cold War, which comes from a AAA developer, looks like a fucking cartoon? How is it that these smaller developers are making these games look so incredible? Not only is this game photorealistic, but this game is just so beautiful at times. And it's even better since this game is also now Series X and PS5 enhanced, so the game looks and runs even better. And in terms of frame rate, the frame rate, for the most part, the frame rate was really consistent. Typical 60 frames per second. A couple frame drops here and there, but it was not too bad. Now the soundtrack. The soundtrack in this game is absolutely magnificent. This game has a really good combination of some actual terrifying music, some really scary chase music, and also some really ambient themes as well. Like the ambient theme that you were hearing from that clip that I showed you guys, that ambient theme got under my skin, and it just made the experience of that certain segment so much better. So I'd say Sad Square actually rivals Bloober Team in terms of actual soundtrack, because I said that Bloober Team had better soundtracks than any other horror developer, but I gotta say, Sad Square really kind of changed that opinion because this game has some extremely great music as well. I really wish I could just listen to it on my phone, but like I tried to find this game's soundtrack and unfortunately I couldn't find a lot of it, not the ones that I wanted, because like this game's music is just so incredible. Now we're going to be talking about another important thing, the price. This game does retail for $34, but you know what, ladies and gentlemen, like after what I just told you, like if you guys actually stood for the review, and if you've made it this far into review, I also appreciate you, by the way, if you actually made it this far. This game is worth $70. This game is worth, I'm surprised Sad Square wasn't asking $60. This game is better than any AAA game that comes out these days, especially in the horror genre. Outlast is shit compared to this game. Anyways, guys, that concludes my review for Visage. Although the game can be very frustrating and very tricky at times, this is still a fine horror game and probably one of the best I've played in a while. And like, although I've been hating on Outlast 2, Outlast 1 and Outlast 2 are still some of my favorite horror games. I could shit talk those games all I want, but like when someone loves a game so much but also criticize it but still comes back to play them even though they were just talking about why they criticize them, that's nothing but true love, okay? And I really do love Outlast, but this game right here, awesome. I love both of them, to be honest. I mean, there's just so much about Outlast that I hated. If you guys want to see my review on why I think Outlast was overrated, I'll leave it in the description or whatever. But anyways, guys, I give Visage a 9 out of 10. For you guys, I mean, it's opinions matter. Let me know what you guys think of Visage. Was it too hard for you? And just remember what I said. Just take a break. Don't think too much about it. Don't let the game get to you. It is a video game at the end of the day. Don't like it has nothing to do with how good you are at these games. Like, don't let it mess with your pride or anything. Just take a break. Take a break, think things through, analyze the situation carefully, and just have patience, okay? No one's rushing you. You're not like some kind of fucking like death clock where like you have to complete the game in like a certain time, or like you're gonna die or something. You got plenty of time. Just figure out the game, take your time, and enjoy the game. Enjoy the game for what it is. Because like, why would you be playing this game in the first place if you were not a fan of horror games? Just take your time. You will enjoy this game if you just have patience and just really think things through. But horror fans, if you're someone who wants a really fresh horror game, like a really good horror game, go out, buy Visage. You will not be disappointed. This will be an unforgettable journey. I absolutely promise you. But anyways, guys, thank you so very much for watching this review. I'm glad my reviews are getting longer. I really enjoy it. I love talking about these games with you guys. And like I said, even though I don't get a lot of views, I'm making these videos for me. I just enjoy it. Like, I'm such a humble YouTuber because I enjoy the content I make. I'm not just doing this shit for views or popularity. I enjoy making these videos. I enjoy sharing my opinions, and I